Section 10, Painting, decorating walls, ceilings, and floors. Brush, paint roller pad, spray painting. Preparation ladders, interior painting, painting doors and windows, painting concrete, painting problems, exterior painting, wallpaper, ceilings, wall coverings, ceramic wall tiles, floor coverings. Alright, selecting the right paintbrush. Quality is very important consideration. Brush selection, regardless of size and style. With a good brush, hold more paint and make it possible for you to paint more smoothly with less effort. Bristles, and all good brushes are flagged, a term that signifies splits of the bristle brush. The more flags, the better. This helps retain the paint. The bristle, natural flag, synthetic bristle are artificially lacked. About 75% of brushes sold today are synthetic bristles. Test for balance. Brushing bristles against the back of your hand if they should feel springy and elasticity. When brush is gently pressed on the surface, the good bristles will not fan out excessively. Check the settling tube. Bristles should be solidly set to prevent fallout while painting. If the jar the brush and fan the bristles, any loose bristles will be apparent. Metal banding on the brush of ferrule with generally stainless steel aluminum on better brushes. Both are area to paint with type of paint have a bearing on the size and the style of the brush. The calcium brushes, calcium brushes, very long, tough, elastic brushes, best apply water-thin paints, large areas. Enamel varnish brushes, both flat and chisel-shaped, are best for alkali paints and lacquers. The shape and length of the lather help achieve smoother flow, prevent lap marks. Special brushes will vary with tough fiber nylon bristles ranging from 4 to 6 inches, recommended for rough stucco masonry surfaces. First is a 4-wall brush cut inside, and 1.5 inch trim brush, 1 inch varnish enamel brush, and varnish beveled trim brush, round brush, 1.5 inch quality trim brush, 6 inch outside wall masonry. Proper care of brushes. Always clean brush paint right after painting. Use the thinner and solvent from which the brush has been used. For example, to remove the oil-based alkali paints, use turpentine foul with a benzene paint thinner. For brushes, use to apply shellac with alcohol-based stains, alcohol lacquer thin. Low cleaning with thoroughly washing soap and warm water. Brushes with latex water paint are very easy to clean. Just use warm water. Proper storage. Important conditions of the brush. Good procedure for the drill a hole base of the brush handle. You can then good practice is to drill a hole in the base of the brush handle, and you can then overnight storage insert a wire through the hole, rest it on the top of the painter, and coffee with the brush suspended in the solvent. Be sure that the can is taller than the bristle. They should not rest on the bottom. For longer storage, brushes should be wrapped in foil or heavy paper after clothing. How to salvage old brushes. Brushes have hardened because they weren't properly cleaned. Can often be made usable. Soaking in a paint remover or brush softener paint stored in so excess depends upon the amount of paint left on the brush, how long it's dried, and the need of the comb, bristles, and re-soak. Selecting the right roller. Always choose the paint roller suitable for the job. This comes in various sizes with a handle of different lengths. The design to take extensions, making it possible to paint ceilings, stairways at high as 12 feet from standing on the floor as a paint floor without stopping bending. Roll covers are made with many widths for use of different size areas. Amateurs use on the walls. Ceilings, good choice for 7 to 8 inch models. For finishing woodwork doors and trim 3 inch of the best. You can also use smaller size cutting in the corners using window frames and molding. Special purpose rollers are included with the donut shape, the type of the both sides of the corners at once to enable to use paint a wall with getting the paint on the ceiling. This is a special edge roller. Paint pads, some of the guide wheels are available for the use of the fencing and the siding shakes and the other hard to get surfaces. Fabric over the roll cover conform with the type of the paint applied with lamb's wool. For example, the excellent latex alkali paint should not be used in enamel. Enamel will cover the wool or the mat. Mohair rollers will work any type of interfere paint, especially if applying enamel producing smooth finish. Rollers made from synthetic fibers can also be used in all types of paint, inside and out. Where stippled finish is desired, use a roller made of carpeting. Another fixture to consider was choosing a roller as the length of the nap in a pile, which can range from 1/16 to 1/2 inch. General rule is smoother surface the shorter the nap, the rougher the surface, the longer the nap. The shorter nap rollers, painting walls, ceilings, woodwork, smooth concrete. For larger naps, use rough masonry, brick, stucco, wire fence, other irregular, uneven surfaces. And buying a roller, you should be sure the rule is easy and change of the oil water base of the ply with separate rollers for each. Make sure that neither nor oil soften the tube. Frequently is made with a tree with the cardboard. This supports the pile and it's best to get the roll on which the material is strength and stretched out over a plastic tube. Always keep the small brush hand to cut where there is impossible for the roller to fit. Or it shows a cone-shaped surface roller, a trim roller, small areas, surface roller, large areas, V-shaped roller for roller paint can, carpet cover texting, lambs, wool cover, oil-based, mohair cover small finishes, long nap covers rough surfaces. Spray painting. Selecting the right spray equipment. Spray equipment, the range for the painting attachment, even the vacuum cleaner, large air compressor sprayer that can be rented for low free. Vacuum cleaner sprayers are satisfactory in most household painting projects. Before deciding to spray paint, however, the consider the time when the gain loss of the extra work masking windows and hardware. Well, practically any paint product that can be brushed or rolled can also be sprayed or spray painted. It is best suited with large wall areas, fences, furniture that can be placed in an open space while it's being painted. The width of the spray is adjusted with the size of the article coated with a narrow fan with a breast spraying with a small narrow articles. Full width of the fan should be used as small spray broader areas as tabletops and walls. It is important to experiment beforehand. Test the thickness of the paint, the size of the spray area, the motion of the gun before actually painting any surface. Every excessive paint thickness can cause rippling in the wet film in the spray area, lead to the blistering later. Vertical inclined surface can cause runs. Spray fans shall be either perpendicular at right angles, and surface can be coated with a stroke with a motion of the hand holding the spray gun. Should the surface be painted, sure with a smooth, uninterrupted flow of the surface coated. As you spray, move the parallel with the surface, to keep it to move even the stroke on the floor for the areas of the area being coated. Corners, edges should also be sprayed first. Regardless of the type of equipment used, there are certain precautions should be taken. The room in which you're spraying as well as ventilated. Keep the fire extinguisher within reach. Make sure all flammable liquids are stored in safety cans. If you are spraying a confined area, wear a mask to avoid breathing in the vapors of the paint. Spray equipment should be thoroughly cleaned immediately after use. Simplest method of spraying suitable solvent through the equipment. A broom straw can be used to unclog the fluid tip. Before using a wire or nail, clear the holes with a spray tip. Never use a wire and nail to clear the holes in the spray tip. They are precision machined openings and can easily be damaged by sharp objects. How to use a spray can. 4 basic components of aerosol pack paints, container valve propellants that produce pressure in paint. The operating principle is simple with the injection propellant with the pressure with which the container becomes greater than the atmosphere. When the valve is opened, the pressure produces fine spray paint. Most aerosol paints are mixed with the movement of a small ball in the container accomplished with shaking of the can. The shaking is a very important step that does if you don't take the paint may come out too thin, it may be run out of pressure before the paint is used up. Hold the container 10 to 12 inches from the surface being painted. Keep the nozzles parallel with a piece of the plastic valve button all the way down. Move evenly over the surface to release the pressure before you end the stroke. Trick of it is to work across the surface starting beyond the left edge and continuing beyond the right. Over the lap the first stroke with at least 1/3 of the next. Be sure that the rapid smooth strokes is moved through slowly. Stop the wheels from streaking. Never spray as too long in one area. It causes drips and runs. Result best when paint is sprayed very thin coats, 2 to 3 maximum coverage. The ample drying time allowed between the particular smooth finish is desired and between the coats using a fine grade sandpaper. Aerosol paints are flammable, so keep them away from open flames, particularly during the use. So if the cans are in a cool place, keep them away from hot water heating pipes. If the spray tip gets clogged, clean it with a fine copper wire strand. A lamb cord works well. Before discarding, using a spray can can remove the tip. The pinch can be used to replace the clog tip with another tip. In a pinch, it can be used to replace a clogged tip on another can. Two final precautions: aerosol should never be punctured and should never discard the incinerator they could explode. Before painting interiors, pre-painting preparation should include thorough cleanup of the wall ceilings. Remove all nails, picture hangers from the wall. Clear the walls, sealing the cracks and blemishes. Carefully fill hair-lined cracks with spackling material. Use a putty knife, kitchen knife, or even your fingers. Large cracks should be filled with special patching plaster, which has been mixed according to the directions of the container. Ensure proper adhesion. Plastic filler chisel over the triangle channel with a wall narrow over the surface that wasn't made. For the V of the picture of the channel with a narrow opening, patching material will thoroughly dry and sand the surface smooth. Apply undercoating over primary patch areas. Check for joint separation moldings around the wall, door, windows, and correct resetting of the strips filling with the cracks with spackle. Next, remove all hardware from the doors, windows, loosen the lighting fixtures, cover these areas with masking tape, paper, and cloth. This will make after painting cleaning up much easier. Dust it was, though, thoroughly dropped, except for the kitchen bathroom, which grease stemmed into the walls, actuate from the walls. These walls should be washed, household cleaner, detergent before repainting. Woodwork should be given a final wiping rag dampened with a paint thinner if you're going to use an oil-based acrylic paint. Except for kitchen bathrooms with a gloss, sometimes desirable. Flat paint generally used on walls. On woodwork doors, gloss, semi-gloss is usually used the choice. Alright, scrapers and knives. Four basic types of scrapers knives are used in the homeowner's painting equipment. Hook scraper is useful scraping down rough surface that can be used with a paint remover or a blowtorch. Hook scrapers can usually consist of a steel blade with a hook at one end. Some the hook scrapers are removable reversible slides. Two razor blade scrapers. Easily hardly with a scraping paint from glass made varieties of styles. Wall scraper. Knife type wall scraper for removing the paint, other general scraping, cleaning, and available in sizes 1 1/4 inch to 5 inch width with both flexible and stiff blades, usually 2 to 4 inch width, and a stiff blade works best. Putty knife with a flexible steel blade used for applying, smoothing, putting, also hand filing, scraping, and cleaning. In addition, you should have the supply of coarse, medium, and fine grade sandpaper. Stripping old paint, proper surfacing preparation, sometimes stripping away all the old finish. The easiest way to do this is with a paint remover. Apply remover from the broad with a brush with a hole of the ample supply. Lay on a good full coat brush in one direction. Cover the work on the area no more than 2 feet square at a time. Give it some time and soften that goes back where you started. With a scraping knife, test to see if the film has softened the way down in the wood. If it has, scrape it off. If not, recoat the area. This will give you an idea of the work and the time involved in the removal. Unless original finish is very old, 2 coats and an hour at a time should be sufficient to soften the paint. After you've scraped all the old paint from the surface, remove the remaining sludge and thoroughly clean the surface of the coarse steel wool. Let the surface dry for at least 4 hours before doing any refinishing. On broad, flat, accessible surface such as doors, power sand can be used with final finish to achieve the smoothness of the desired painting. Moving interior work, woodwork finish may require more time because of the extra care required to protect surrounding areas, covering, moving furniture, etc. Intricacy of the woodwork itself. Do not coat large or surface at a time, particularly if there is a good deal of detailed work involved. As soon as the finish is softened, scrape it off. Allow the surface to dry for 4 hours before applying a new finish. Wipe it down with a rag, dampen it with a paint thinner before painting. Moving paint with heat. Comparatively easy way to remove all paint from outside house, other large surface, and burn it off. You need the propane and a blowtorch to do this. Remember to use the blowtorch. You don't want to burn the wood, so don't keep the flame surface too long. After you heat from then apply with the paint. Maybe scrape it off with a putty knife, just as if the paint remover. Don't remove the wood. Don't worry if the wood is slightly scorched. This is almost inevitable. It does not harm. Just not to char it. For those who don't like working with blowtorch, there are electrical paint softeners, built-in scrapers lifted with the heat soften the paint as you move toward the tool forward. Higher the wattage, the faster the electrical paint removes the work. When all the paint has been burned off, the surface should be sanded before painting. Paring resistant paintwork. repairing existing paint work. Plaster surface must be clean and smooth before the paint is applied. Fill all cracks and patching plaster. Paint loosely, badly cracked, chipped, or should be completely removed. Sand off pimples, ridges, and point runs. Fresh plaster can be painted with latex paint, assumed with a trim of the nail with 2 coats, oil, base point, and paint, leaving 3 coats less plaster cure within 90 days before painting. If you choose not to wait 90 days, you still want to use oil-based paint. Plaster can be prepared by painting, treating your surface with a solution of 2 pounds of zinc sulfate dissolved in 1 gallon of water. It is not advisable to paint over wallpaper, though it can be done. Paint does not its texture that will show through the paint. Be sure that there are no colored paper in that will bleed through the paint, and make sure that certain paper is sound and tight over the entire wall using latex paint. Walls of plywood and most composition wall boards are painted the same way as plaster walls. Some wall boards, however, are extremely porous and will require a sealer coat. The paint dealer can suggest suitable sealer for purpose. Whether you should apply 1 or 2 coats depends on the condition of surface of the color and change involved with the type of the paint. Modern paints cover the better to wear longer, earlier ones. So if you're repainting approximately the same color, 1 coat will usually be enough. If there has been much peeling and chipping, if you are changing color radically, 2 colors are probably required regardless of manufacturer's claims. You can apply a suitable undercoat and primer as first coat and use 2 coats at the same point. Paint. To estimate how much paint you need for an interior decorating job, you need to know the square feet of the wall, surface of the painted, number of the square feet of gallon of the paint you are planning to use. You will cover. Label on the paint usually specifies how many square feet a gallon will cover. Remember, an imperial gallon covers 25% more than an American gallon. Wall ceilings are used rectangulars to determine ceiling area, multiple length and by width, calculate square footage. Walls measure the perimeter of room and multiply the figure in its height. The resulting square footage of wall space to be covered and do not deduct the windows unless the measure together more than 100 square feet. Divide the number of square feet painted by the number of square feet of the gallon will cover. They result in the number of gallons and fractions of the gallons you'll need to complete the job. Same formula applies for the course to determine how much paint you will need for the ceiling. When you buy paint, have the dealer put it in the shaker to minimize the amount of stirring you will have to do at home. Stir the paint with a flat board until you're positive that no pigment is left in the bottom of the can. Some manufacturers recommend no stirring and label. Certain paint should never be stirred. They are jelly-like thixotropic paints. Every paint job will go faster when you follow the right sequence. Deal with ceilings first, walls second, then woodwork. Doors, windows, and other trim. Where there's put floors and sequence demands on what is being done, then floors are simply beyond the painting. They should be done last. If they are completing refinish, including sanding, scraping, do this first. Cover them in paper and drop the cloths when you paint the room. Important, when you paint the lower portion of the woodwork, especially the baseboards around the room, keep the family out until the paint has been a chance to dry. Walking in the room raises dust particles, which need to freshly painted surfaces. Safe working platforms. Ladder with 3-4 steps, a good choice for painting walls and ceilings. While painting high ceiling, step ladder for folding platforms is essential. Be sure the ladder is sturdy. Don't make shift arrangements whenever using earth and borrow. If new ladder is necessary, it will apply to repair safely. Efficiency. Do not go higher than the second step from the top. Also remember, step ladder is firmly loaded, only with spreader fully applied and locked. Do not try to climb in step ladder that is any other position is likely to slip or topple. When painting near a door, be sure that either fully open enclosure and locked. Otherwise, some of the openings for the doors you can make wall ceiling paints consideration easier. Raised platform to work from. The arrangement will eliminate necessity. Alright, shows wrapping a cloth around a ladder to prevent damage to the walls. The head wall, well walled, 2 boards, unsupported over 5 feet, and that's painting a stairway. Get up and down constantly to move step ladder. For higher work above 8 feet, you will need a platform made of 2 sturdy step ladders. High saw horses Wide scaffold plank. The job is below the 8 foot below or above head level. You can work on a scaffold plank and lay it out across the low sawhorse step stools. In either situation, allow the place scaffold plank to stand at least a foot beyond the step of the ladder sawhorse on which it rests. Scaffold planks 2x8 up to 8 feet, 10 feet long are sold with lumber yards are often available on rental basis at the paint stores. The 10-foot length is generally the most useful. The board longer than this will need support with the center was as needed at the ends. When the decorating stairwell, arrange the scaffolding system, ladders and planks so that there is easy access to both head wall and well wall. So the illustration at the left. Make sure that the ladders are perfectly secure to the board, are long enough than 5 feet from support, and then place one board on the top of another to add strength. Use drop cloths to protect the stairs, carpeting, floors of the paint splatters. Decoration of the wall is finished. When well is finished, remove the scaffold board and complete the head wall working from the ladder placed on the main landing. Alright, interior paint. Type of paint. Some new paints have been introduced recently in the years. The difficulty with a non-professional is to be sure that what particular types should be used in a home decorated. More significant innovation, water-thin latex paints. Common belief that latex means rubber base is wrong. Latex paint contains no rubber. Latex means that the dictionary calls it whiteless, milky emulsion of latex paint. 1, thin would water dry quickly, easily in about an hour. 3, spread easily. 4, they have little or no paint order. Also, brushes used with that can be cleaned with warm water and soap. Most manufacturers state that the labels used with which the products should be put, what preparations are required. Remember, a multi-purpose paint represents the compromise of flat finish and labeled with washable that cannot be scrubbed with a high gloss, semi-gloss enamel. Can be, though. Many paints are labeled flat enamels and really misnomers. They are washable compared with the old style flats, but you cannot scrub them with repeatedly as you can semi-gloss and gloss enamels. Paints are divided into interior, exterior type. The exterior types are discussed on page 36. Interior types are they used to describe here. For interior work, 3 types of paint: flat wall, ceiling, semi-high gloss enamel with the woodwork, furniture, bathrooms, kitchen walls, deck enamel of floors. Flat paints come alkali and latex types. The once popular oil-based flat, seldom seen anymore. Both latex alkali types, quick drying, free of the odor later, has more hiding power than your would get with a latex flat. Alkali paints are thin with paint thinner and turpentine. Flat paints can be used both walls, ceiling finishes, usually on the doors, windows, other woodwork. In addition, high gloss types enamel available. The semi-gloss satin finish, dustler lost, usually referred to as eggshell, meaning degree or of gloss, not color. Enamels will take scrubbing or booze other than flats. They are available to both alkali and oil-based types. Both latex enamels are available only in semi-gloss deck paints or enamel-type finishes, sometimes even interior flat steps, floors and steps. Most widely used varnish-based, wood-dried to high gloss. How to use color. Color is least expensive way to beautify your home and always means the provided paint is far most economical. The more you know about your color, the more effective you can make it. To get your colors, color wheel right with a color wheel spectrum arranged in circle. Fill the circles with crayons, watercolors indicating colors. You will have practical working tool. You will recognize 3 primary colors: yellow, blue, and red. Secondary blue hues form the repairing primaries: orange and blue, orange, purple, and green. Others, mixtures, and primary secondaries are called tetraries. Using tint tones, shades, and the 12 basic hues used work with the color magic. By combining the wheel as shown in the area of the various harmonious effects which stay with conventional harmony, change colors, keys depending on the personal taste. Use the color wheel as obtained with a limited range, unpredictable harmonious effects, assured with a non-flash clashing color schemes. As a general rule, ceiling lightest color room followed by the walls with the woodwork, especially the baseboard with the darkest color. The kitchen should always be painted light, cheerful color. Avoid hot color schemes. Kitchen gets warm enough. The outside help stick colors keep things cool, such as white, light blue, pale yellow, light green, and beige. Paint styling is a technique using color with the emphasis of the goods features of the room, a house, space, piece of furniture, minimizing unattractive ones. It's an important facet of the paint styling with the creation of an optical illusion. Suppose 2 identical houses that are built side to side adjoining plots. If the one house is painted in light colors, the other in dark, the house will seem larger. Same principles are working indoors. Painting walls, ceilings in a light tint room when they will seem more expensive than it would in the dark tone. The largest of the colors is yellow, followed by red, the green and blue, and finally black. The follow of the eye principle applied other ways problems inside outside of the home. Just like colors make a room appear larger, and darker warm colors of the walls will reduce apparent size of the overall large room. To widen the very narrow room, the dark, warm color on each wall, lighter, receding colors on the side wall, similarly with the bring down the ceiling with the looking too high, with the painting in a dark color with the walls, and the walls, the raise the ceiling with the painting in a white, larger tint within the walls. If the room is perfectly square, uninteresting shape, you can give it a variety of dimensions, making a focal point, one wall, bright, warm colors. What works on the color ceilings will have same modifying effects of the room. Light-colored roof that seems too high in width can be lowered to scale using dark-colored shingles. Finally covered, given a unity to a house, it's a great variety. Building materials have been used in construction. For example, use a single paint color can do much to unite the materials with a harmonious whole. Painting ceilings using a brush. When applying the alkaloid paint with the ceiling, work across the width rather than the length of the room. Permanent begins with a second lap before the first dried completely. Never try to paint a strip more than 2 feet wide for a same reason. This means moving the ladders frequently, but with a better having the dry edge of the laps mark the job. Latex paint, unless a app shall lap marks any of the near always ceilings. Use a roller. A roller can be used on the ceiling as it is possible to paint a ceiling with a long handle with extension roller while standing on the floor. If the walls will be painted later, there usually are. When using a latex paintbrush, a narrow strip around the entire perimeter of the ceiling, fill in the center of the ladder with a roller using an alkaloid paint. Work across the narrow dimension of the ceiling. Start in the corner, brush a narrow strip 2 to 3 feet wide against the wall. Load your roller and strip to the same width, working an unpainted area with a still wet well side. At the far side of the room, paint the area near the wall with a brush or roller. Work backward to the wet edge of the very previous strip. Crisscross the strokes to cover an area completely. For a really large ceiling, you can buy a rent and pressure-fed roller, which eliminates the need to constantly replenish the roller with paint. Alright, painting walls. Using a brush to eliminate lap markings, applying the alkali type paint, begin with the top of the wall and then paint the panel about 3 feet wide down with a baseboard with the floor with a start on the top of the paint and another 3-foot panel. This way you're starting with the second panel before the top part of the first one has had time to dry. The best result applying with the paint rather than laboriously the surface spread out with additional dipping with the paint, brushing it in thoroughly with the brush marks can be minimized to avoid the paint. The dry brush, keep the rag damp with water, latex paint with the turpentine for the alkali paint to clean up the paint splatters. Using a roller. Before applying the paint with a roller, first cover the edges of the wall brush with the edge roller, taking care of the knot to get paint on the ceiling of the adjacent wall. Make your first stroke upward if in general the direction paint with a downward follow with the downward stroke over the same area, then roll crosswise and ensure that the coverage. As you progress, always start with the dry area, roll toward one and then just painted bleeding in the laps. Avoid rolling too fast, causes spatters spinning in the roller end of the stroke. Thus, always the roller before you lift the wall from the wall. Feather, final stroke using light stroke. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Painting woodwork. Walls usually given the flat finish woodwork and trim should be gloss enamel. Semi-gloss enamel, which will not show the dirt with much of the paint tends to do so. Many people, however, prefer to use flat paint woodwork as well as walls. Other people prefer gloss and semi-gloss enamel throughout, with the decision largely a matter of the taste. Some of the enamel will require primary coat for application. Woodwork and trim should be prepared previously described on page 324, with the paint applied very much the same prescribed with the ceiling walls, page 328. This is one of the problems sometimes occur with the wood, certain for the wood stain bleed through the paint with the cause of particular discolorization before the paint over the wood and stain with applied with the paint to be used in a small area with let to dry with several days to be sure the stain does not bleed through. If there's any any bleeding, it means that the component of the paint has dissolved and the coloring material is staying with the solution. To apply the 2 coats of thin white shellac of the wood before applying the paint. When applying paint to woodwork, dip the brush in the paint so at least 1/3 of the length of the bristles while the brush will filled with remove the tap lightly against the inside of the can. Hold the brush comfortably near the base with a handle. Enter light pressure with the 4 fingertips. Don't bear down with it. Exert with enough pressure to make the bristles flex slightly toward the tip of the beginning of the brush stroke. Be sure the brush outruns and sags as they occur. When enameling, be sure to use the cross brush technique. The brush enamels one direction, then brush across the level to level. The slow brush strokes of the paint of the wood. If the brush is too fast, you will get little scripts with the enamel. Literally did not have time much to reach the time to produce depressions. Slow brushing permits bristles to force the paint in contact surface to ensure the better coverage of the brushing. As a rule, the baseboard painting for the ceiling, the walls, window trim, necks, the doors, frames, shelves built into the cabinet trim. Other trim work is done first, done last. Semi-gloss enamel is too glossy. The mix with a half and half. The flat enamel, the same brand with my text. Make a test of a flat and semi-gloss and half to see if the finish looks best. It's important to prepare apart trim work and painting radiators. If the radiator have never been painted, be sure that they're clean of grease and rust. Rust must be removed to expect the paint to stick. Best prime coat for radiators is red lead paint. After this primer coat, the radiator can be painted with the interior paint you choose. The paint only very visible portions, limiting in the red brass bare metal for greater and higher heating efficiency. Never use aluminum or any metallic paint on radiator this reduces heat. If the radiator previously painted and the paint is cracked or peeling, it will be necessary to remove all of the paint removed with a wire brush. Moving it before painting. After using a paint remover, wipe off the surface of turpentine paint thinner apply with new paint. If you have some paint left over, keep it later with a touch-up film when the paint thinner carefully powered out. Surface will prevent skinning from any of the few weeks. Ultimately, the air trapped inside of the cover will cover the skin forming on the top of the paint. Then this is easily removed by the seal, minimizing skinning. Please place a sheet of plastic wrap under the lid before replacing and pounding the lid down securely. Alright, procedure. Doors. Panel doors must be painted strictly sequenced. To do the whole job in the one sequence because of the result of the hard to remove edges. Paint the panels from the edge to edge toward the middle. When the paint flushes doors, start with the top of the work downwards in sections. Work quickly so the paint does not harden before the joining section is painted. Windows, like doors, must also be painted in order governed by its construction. The casements of the sequence mutants where the glass joins the wood, 2 the crossbar, cross rails, and meeting sills, and 5 of the frames. To paint the double hung window, push the lower sash with the upper sash down so you get the meeting rail with the point of paint over the order. Meeting the rail including the bottom edge, 2 uprights as they go up to the top shaft, 3 the bottom edge of the lower shaft sash, 4 the soffit, 5 the inside of the outer channel with the lower both windows and paint, 6 inside channels as far as you can go over the painting outside of the window following the same procedure with the inside paint, 7 the bottom of the inside channel, 8 short way up inside the channel. Nail lightly driven in the bottom of the upper lower sash, enable you to move the windows, marrying the point after drying overnight with the windows to prevent sticking. Alright, painting concrete, floors and walls. Several types of paint suitable for the concrete walls. Latex are easiest because you can then be applied with the damp walls cleaned over the water. Also highly regarded the Portland cement paints, swimming pool paints, refurnished masonry paints, optimum resistance to moisture, frequent cleaning, and chemical attack, and epoxy paints. After selecting paint color type, prepare the surface of the moorings. If only have to remove the dirt, loosen and crumble the material within the wire brush. Grease, oil should be scrubbed off with the detergent. Be sure to patch all cracks and holes before using latex paint. Priming bare metal over the walls and the anti-corrosive metal primer. Portland cements are a frequent choice because they are long-lasting, keep moisture under low-pressure walls. No paint, however, the complete moisture barrier, find and correct moisture problems before painting and to avoid dampness of the outside of the wall. Portland cement cannot be used over the surface of which any of the type of the panel has been applied. Walls must be kept damp while the cement paint is curing. Once it has dried, provide with the top durable coating of the bond strongly through with the walls. Durability and excellent adhesion are best features of the epoxy paints. These paints are resins, which catalysts are added immediately before application. The hardening of the chemical and smooth towel-like surface. Epoxies and polyurethane polyesters types are used all good for walls. They are washed often with the floor and floors that have heavy traffic. Application of epoxy paints a little extra care. Surface of the preparation must be paid carefully in order for the coating of the bond properly with the wall of the floor. Fillers should be applied before painting the smooth surface of the desired. Before painting, read the manufacturer directions carefully. For concrete floors, you can always use chlorinated rubber paint made with a wide range of colors to adhere with a fairly new concrete. You can use latex floor paints, which are easier to apply. Do not wear as epoxy paints, alkaloid type enamels, regardless of the paint used for the preparation. Most important, floors should always be vacuumed after normal preparation before applying paint. The best way to do a large basement floor is by sections. Mentally divide the floor by 3 by 3 foot squares. Prepare one section, paint it, then go to the next square. Type in causes and cures. Unsatisfactory paint jobs caused by the following: improper painting techniques, failure to follow mixing, priming, application requirements, inadequate protection, exterior walls against moisture, use wrong type of paints, existing surface condition, use interior paints, excessive intervals of the repainting to frequent repainting, wrong paint thinner use, mixing incompatible paints, excessive thinning, 10, painting over grease or rust. Listed below are the paint defects you must likely to encounter and cause each. Alligatoring. Determine the pattern of the coarse interlacing lines that look more like alligator skin caused with the apply of the second paint before it has first dried. Too much of the oil and incompatible pigment vehicle will cause the alligatoring. Checking is like alligatoring, except the cracks are smaller and less noticeable, cause the same. Cracking and scaling, the two conditions closely related. Scaling being actually large stage of the cracking channel. Checking alligating affect the only surface coat of the crack of the paint film that goes right down the wood. Lets moisture go beyond the paint, causing it to scale off. The paint that behaves the ways lacks elasticity will not move the wood, expand with the contract. The only way to correct the bald scaling paint finish, remove the paint and start over again with the paint that is not so brittle. Blistering and peeling. The result of the paint applied with the wood surface damp and wet with the presence of water prevented the painting from gripping the surface properly. The solution to make sure that any surface is removed with drying before applying the paint after the prime coat has been applied. Allow for the extra long drying period to permit the surface to be behind the paint to dry even more thoroughly. Wrinkling. The problem that comes from the putting paint on too thick. The top surface of the thin coat dried with the paint underneath the dried properly. Wrinkles will appear. The surface remedy is use thinner paint to brush it out with wear that when applying before applying another coat with the surface. If you want to smooth the finish, extreme cases it might be necessary to remove the old paint before proceeding further painting. Tackiness and slow drying. They could be traceable to any of the number of factors, but they may not have enough dryer in the paint. Some of them may also have been of poor quality. Sometimes slow drying oil may have been used in the paint manufacturer. Improper application may be to blame. Application during damp weather over paint that had never been really dried, or as in the case of wrinkling too thick of the coat. Good paints will eventually dry mid-matter. However, carelessly have been applied poorly formulated paint. However, they may never dry. The only cure this problem is to remove it all. Running and sagging. They're nearly always caused by the too heavy applications of paint, but the problem can be the brushing techniques made with the point of the brush of the paint out will have less trouble with the runs and sags. As you could already have with the remove of the sandpaper. Chalking. The defect with the excessive of the good outdoor paint design of the chalk with so the rain will wash away the dirt left, leaving the clean surface. Important. Never apply with lacquer to painted surface. The lacquer will act as sore of a paint remover, lifting and wrinkling the paint. However, it can also be applied with a lacquered surface. Also, floor enamel applied to the concrete floor will very often lift and flake because of the alkaline salts in the concrete. This can be neutralized by scrubbing the concrete with a solution of muriatic acid and water, 1 part acid, 2 parts water, rinsing with clean water, and allowing to dry before the paint. Exterior painting. Preparation. The condition, the surface of which the paint was applied with the great importance, durability of the paint, surface of the wood, siding with the trim provided with the properly dry with the own, or with the excellent surface of the paint with the structural defect of the permanent wall with the generated wood. Binding of the paint will cause the blistering and peeling will prevent the elimination surface of the moisture from being applying in paint. With a paint job will be more durable with the surface of the free dust and dirt of the new wood should be brushed and removed all the immediate before applying the primer. All open joints should be sealed with a caulk and compound wood sidings with the containment of the knots so they be shellacked and prevent the discoloration of the paint to resin of the knots. Nail heads should be checked to make sure that they have been set before the surface of the hole of the putty. Non-rusting siding nails are often set flush with the surface of the wood, which causes the putting unnecessary. All iron steel must be primed with a rust inhibitor primer. If old paint is merely faded and dirty, chalking is the only proportion necessary to the dust on the surface. And before painting a surface extremely dry or very dirty, wash it with a very mild detergent or household cleaner solution. Rinse with the clear water. Let surface dry before painting. Remove the rust marks around nail heads and sandpaper. Steel wool, then set dry, prime, and putty. Remove the loose flacking of the blistering paint with a wire brush, putting knife, and the scraper with the blistering, cracking, alligatoring old paint extensively. Old film should be removed down with the bare wood edges, sound paint with a feathered sandpaper, steel wool before priming or repainting. Paint new wood with a paint primer before applying finished coats. For best result, paint should be applied with a clear, dry weather, temperatures above 40 degrees while the morning dew has been evaporated and siding that has not been wet, recent drain, let it dry for several days before painting. With latex paint, you can leave some of the moisture on the wood. Paint new, dry woodwork as soon as possible after installation. 3-coat job presents new work. 1 coat of primer, 2 finished coats. Do not, however, make serious errors in assuming that the 3 coats are desirable. More coats are bound be even better. All 1 coat is often sufficient with the repainting surface in good condition. While the old paint is very thin, a long time has elapsed since the last painting. 2 coats are recommended. House painting normally covers 500 square feet of surface per American gallon, 625 square feet per imperial gallon. With these estimates, the dimension of the hours of the house easy to determine the approximate number of the gallons required for the following procedure. Average height of the house, the distance of the foundation, eaves, the flat roof types, the 2 feet of the pitch roof, the altitude, the height and distance around the foundation, surface area in square feet, and 3, surface area over 500, number of the gallons of the paint or required each coat. There is need to calculate the trim paint, but the average of the house for 6 to 8 rooms requires gallons. Preparation also means having to hand all other paraphernalia required for the painting. Brushes, thinners, scrapers, and sandpaper, ladders, drop cloths, some of the old clothes. Best wear hard-soled shoes with heels rather than sneakers. You won't feel the ladder's rungs through hard soles. Now that you're all set, where do you start? Set up the ladder. Start with the highest point of the house. Do not lean out from the ladder. Reach out with a comfortably normal distance. Keeping the hips bent over the rail. Keep one hand on the ladder and with the other hand on the brush. Make S hook out of the wire coat hanger, which would suspend the can for the paint. Suspend the can so that it hangs outside the ladder on the right of the right hand of the wave with avoid heat having to reach over the brush between the rungs when the time comes to the fill. Top of the house, if the trim requires painting, you may want to paint the trim at the same time to avoid setting up the ladder twice in the same spot. Choice is yours. If you want to follow this technique, you need to separate the smaller brush from the trim paint and keep the rag dampened with the paint thinner on the hand to wipe the paint spatters as soon as they happen. To make sure you have the drop cloth below the area with the painting so the paint drops shrubbery and paint plants. When painting over the trim, take care to use the trim paint outdoor enamel paint used for the main part of the house should never be used to paint the trim. The part of if part of your paint includes porch steps, try this technique. Paint alternate steps when they are dry. Paint the skip steps. This way you will not deprive the use of the stairs while even the paint is drying. Another technique is to paint just the right half of the treads and risers using the left side of the traffic while the right side dries. Outdoor railings around steps should be painted. Last of all, generally black enamel is used. Chip it all away, all loose paint surface, apply the metal primer, then the paint. Special attention for the underside of the railings, the place of the professional painters to often overlook. If it is the place where your rusting starts, the wire brush will remove the old rust. You can check the thoroughness of the work by holding the hand mirror under the railing. Alright, exterior painting. Choosing the right paint. Different surfaces depend. Different paints for the you choose. It depends on the surface to be painted. For wood siding with a conventional oil-based paint, with the alkyd paint, with a latex paint, shingle stain, recommended shingles and shakes. Exterior latex paint, asphalt siding. Asphalts will not bleed through the latex paint. Paints for masonry houses must be resistant, alkaline, and present with a concrete mortar. Exterior latex paint solvent with a masonry paint, colorless, silicone-based, water repellent, and Portland cement paints over unpainted concretes as recommended. Trim paints are glossy and enamel-like finished windows, doors, and other exterior trim. They are varnished, alkylated resin base, and dry to hard, dense finish. Deck paints are enamel-type finish with even the poor floors and step patios and terrace. Most widely sold varieties varnish base, dry hard gloss. For concrete, for latex and chlorinated rubber-based paints are suitable. Latex paints are easily applied. Surface which are applied need not to be absolutely dry, but the quickly drying qualities keep it down with the dirt and the bug collection during the drying and to make it possible to apply a second coat within for an hour or two. They give it a good-looking, long-lasting finish since the latex paint is generally permeable to moisture, less likely oil-based paint, but to blister. Many of the new house paintings are desired to be self-cleaning. Check with the gradually rain washes away, but the outer layer of the dirt adheres. Keeping the paint fresh, bright. If there are masonry, dark color below the upper proportions of the house, check paints will stain low areas. In the case of the non-chalking paint, upper surface location, another paint factor, but must consider choosing the proper paint. If your home is an area with the subject of the fume with a nearly industrial plants and paint with a flame-resistant formula that is advisable but available. These paints will hold on the minimum discolorization caused by smoke and fume within the area where the atmospheric conditions might cause mildew. Paint mildew resident adhesive should be used and constitute the effective barrier against the mildew. Additives must of course be compatible with the ingredients particular paint. Your paint dealer can assist you on the matching additives of particular practical brands. Order of work. When painting exterior, start with the main part of the house. Shingle siding and leather, large surface trim of the window, doors, cornices comes for the next. And then the paint the decks, porches, and patios. Do storm windows, screens, and shutters last. Save them for a rainy day work. For a rainy day's work inside of the garage. Start at the top of the house, working all the way across the horizontal stretch of the bottom. Then start in the gables, working down the eave lines. Paint all dormers before painting lower sections. Use clean drop cloth to protect roof beneath you and spatters and drips. Check carefully for skips, missed areas before coming out on the ladder. You will save a lot of steps. Remember the exterior painting in the fair weather. Plan to do some spring or fall when the weather is fairly settled. Another reason for choosing this season with thereby leaf-bearing shrubbery will be bare. Many paint failures previously noted but can be traced to a surface that was either damp, exposed to the sunlight while being painted. If most paint was in hot weather, paint behind the sun. This is starting the work in the morning on a portion of the house that the sun has just left and follow the sun around the day of progress. The oils of the paint would not be drawn to the surface of the sun's heat. Priming. New wood always requires a coat of the primer recommended manufacturer finish paint coat. This is always prerequisite for the old paint, where old paint is badly weathered, where oil base is to be used. Otherwise, only necessary to prime any bare spots, foul sections, single coat, quality house paint. After priming before applying finishing coat, replace window sash putty removed during the preparatory stage to fill all cracks, nail holes, and putty when necessary. Caulk all joints around chimney doors and window frames. Do this if after wood surface has been primed. Caulking adheres better to prime surface. Most caulking is compounds will take paint without bleeding. Alright, application techniques, and we can cut the tape there.